Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We're just gonna give people a couple more minutes to log on. So we'll start promptly at 10:02. All righty. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is our fourth eAR reporter training, our fourth one, our final one for this year. And today we're going to be going over sections 9 through 18 and the finalized section. Thank you, Wendy. Next slide. As you guys have already probably, if you guys have been coming for the past 3 reporter trainings, you guys should be familiar with with the customer service team faces. We have Wendy Kilu, who is the logistics lead, and then we have myself, Gabriela Gutierrez, and Jonathan Swady. Next slide. With us today, the presenters, we have Jason Spots, Chris Hune, and Ava Scully. And just as always, we are going to be answering questions and comments at the end of the presentation. You'll be able to do it 2 ways. One is by submitting a question using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and you can also upvote any questions that you would like answered. And second is by raising your hand, and you'll be given an opportunity to provide a verbal comment. We do ask that if you raise your hand, you wait for your name to be called on, and Wendy will unmute your microphone. And we do ask that if you can, please limit your questions to 3 minutes for each participant. Next slide. Okay, key topics. A lot of key topics today, so a lot to cover. We have first and foremost, we have the eAR informational items. We have sections 9. I'm not gonna read each one. Each title, will be going over them. But sections 9 through 18, and like I said, the finalizing section, then of course at the very end, comments and questions. Next slide. First, the informational items. Dates of interest, the reporting deadline, April 1st, 2024, and the technical assistance applications deadline, which is this Friday, and we'll be going over that a little bit more in later slides. Next slide, please. And as a reminder, if you guys have not checked out our eAR website, we do ask that you go and check it out. There's a lot of helpful resources that you will find on. And as you can see on the right-hand side, the recordings, the past 3 recordings are already up and posted, so you may go and watch them. Next slide. And another reminder, you also have resources on your portal, your eAR portal homepage. And those links are direct links to materials that are provided to help you as a user. Next slide. And what we want to highlight, of course, is the technical assistance resources. As I mentioned, all the recordings are already posted that you guys can go and watch. There's a direct link to the user guidance on here and some other helpful documents. And you are also able to look up the contact information for your regulating agency. Next slide. And like I mentioned, the technical assistance application, the deadline is this Friday. And if you guys have not applied and you're not sure if you do apply, or if you can apply and if you'll get accepted, just go ahead and fill out the application, and you'll have direct links to it on both the eAR website that's shown there on the left-hand side and also on your portal, your eAR portal homepage. Next slide. And here is just a picture of how the form looks like. Again, I'm going to say it again. It's this Friday, and not only is it to help with the eAR, but you may also get help on the sources and facilities. Wendy, correct me if I'm wrong. And this is what's moved from was Section 6 that is now in the clearinghouse.
And actually, I think it's Section 5. I think we made a mistake. I can't remember. I always get confused on which section got replaced. But the contractors may provide assistance in filling out or entering information into the Safer Clearinghouse. So,
thank you.
First come, first serve.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, next slide. Okay, now we're starting in with our sections. The first section is section 9, which is the regulatory reports and / plans, aka water quality. As you guys may have noticed, some of these questions were taken from other sections from previous eARs, and they were all put into one section that made sense to have all the reports and plans together. And hopefully this has made it a more easier way or system to have it. And also when you guys, another thing to highlight is when you guys are entering your dates, I know if you click on the calendar that's shown there, you can click on a date. You can also manually enter a date, but you should not be able to enter any future dates. And you should not be entering any future dates. Next slide. And this is the rest of the section. Again, there's sections, 3 parts for section C. And the same thing goes for the calendar. And then I have different, if you click yes for section C, or if you click no, and then NA. Okay, section 9C, there's same thing. It's your watershed sanitary survey report. Same thing as with entering the dates. And same thing, as I mentioned, you can either manually enter the date or click on the calendar and choose a date, and you should not be able to put any future dates. Next slide. Section 10. Section 10 is backflow and cross connection. If you see any numbers so total number reported in 2022, if you see those numbers that are wrong, I would say to contact your regulating agency. And yeah, next slide. Section 10B, this is cross connection control program. As you can see, the pick one is, I think it's conditionally mandatory because of what was answered in previous questions. So you will have to answer that. And then of course we have the date of the last cross connection and the other sections that need to be filled out. Next slide. Okay, Wendy.
Great, thank you, Gabby. So I'm going to be going over section 11, which is the operator certification information. The first part of this section, as you can see on the top there, it says your distribution system classification is a D4. That information comes from SWRCB, our database of record. So it's highly recommended that you look at that number and see if you meet those qualifications. And it goes into the next question of whether your chief and shift operators meet those minimum level requirements. If they do, you would mark yes, and then fill out the if you have a chief distribution operator, you would fill out the next 4 sections there in Salmon. If you do not have a designated chief operator, you would just simply check that checkbox. If you have multiple operators, more than one, you would go ahead and enter all those operators' information in the table below. There's 2 ways of doing it. And it depends on how many you have and how many you want to enter by manually. If you enter manually, you would, going back, you would do the same thing with reviewing the treatment operators too, and seeing whether you meet the minimum level required. I was getting ahead of myself here. But going on to the table and how to add operators to those tables, you would click on the little plus sign here on the right. It's in purple. And then it would show a green shaded box, and you would go forward and type in that information and then click the check, the little green check that's in the blue box. And then once you do that, you can see my information below is then saved in the table. If you want to edit or delete that row, you can click the little pin, the blue pin, pencil, or the red trash can. The next way of adding operators to that table is a little bit more technical, but is doable. We did have some bug earlier in the reporting session or time period when it first opened. Thank you to a reporter who gave us that bug, and now it is fixed, so it should be working. But you see the red box on the left, you would click here, click the little click here hyperlink, and it would open up a shift operator list. And it's a bulk data upload. And you would be basically filling out an Excel file with the information that would go into the table, and then you would upload it. So in the middle screenshot, you can see is if you have information in that table already, or if you want to go this route, it would, if you don't have any information in that table, you would click either or. You would click the download current data, and it will open up an Excel file with all the columns that are needed for that table on the right there. Very critical is to look at those, if you have never done the bulk upload, is to look at the formatting that's needed for these tables. If the format is not correct and you upload it, it does do something on the back end where it kind of locks up the system. And we've been getting reports of having some issues with that, and we know how to fix it. So if you can't edit the table or are having troubles with the upload showing the newer information, simply reach out to us through our customer service email, and we go in the back end and clear and reset it for you. So yeah. I think that's all I have to say about that. Let's see, next slide here is, I'm going to go over section 12. This is improvements. It's a 1 question section. This section is required for water systems who may have had improvements or modifications during 2023 or are planning on them in the future, for which a permit is has not been obtained or amended. So it gives the regulator a trigger to contact you to talk to you about amending your permit. And you can click one to many of those options. And if you click other, you're required to enter your description of what your improvement is or plan to be. And I'm going to hand the mic off to Jonathan to talk about section 13.
All righty. Thank you, Wendy. Let me adjust my camera here a bit. All right, well, let's get into it. I'm Jonathan Swady for the Data Support Unit and the Customer Service team here. And I'm going to cover sections 13, 14, and 15. Next slide, please. All right, starting with section 13, which is complaints, reported, written, or verbal. This section just covers any sort of complaints that they receive. So type of complaint, taste and odor, color, turbidity, and all kinds of stuff here. So you can use those arrows to adjust the number of complaints, and then make sure you fill out, if you do, brief description of cause and corrective action taken. Because that's the salmon color, and I'm sure you guys know, but that's conditionally mandatory if you do have any type of complaint. Then of course, comments at the bottom. Next slide. All right, 14 is going to be treatment plants. So I have this broken up into a few sections here. So starting off with the first, which is going to be the groundwater treatment. Here you can insert your ID, groundwater treatment plant name, date of operations plans, and is your plant operation plan current? Wendy covered in section 11 about how to add. You can, to edit a row, to add information, you select the blue pencil at the end of each row. I don't have one here in this example, but she covered in section 11 pretty well. To remove a row, select the red X, then make sure you check, if you do edit, make sure you select a green arrow at the end, check mark, excuse me, at the end of the row to save any data. And then you can select the boxes if any of those apply. Next slide. Next section is surface water treatment. The same idea, edit a row, blue pencil, and make sure you select the green check mark to save your data and select all that apply. Next slide. All right, and just moving through this is going to be chemical additives. So if you have any chemicals that you added to your plan, you can add it the same exact way, or here you can upload an Excel spreadsheet to add in a bunch of information if that's quicker than adding it individually. And below is section D, which is going to be indirect additives. That's going to ask if you had any indirect additives, yes or no. Does your water system have procedures to ensure all future equipment materials meet the standard? And then you can pick from there. And then, of course, add comments if needed. Next slide. All right, moving through section 15. It's going to be distribution system and storage tanks. So the first part is going to be system problems. Here you can fill out the number of problems. And remember, yellow is going to be mandatory. So if you don't fill this section out, it's going to show up and not let you in the end and finalize and not let you submit until you've addressed it. If you don't have any, you can just write 0. But number of problems investigated, number of problems reported, and a brief description of cause and corrective action taken. Part B is going to be infrastructure and pipeline materials. Fill out the pipe material and your distribution system. And you can select the pipeline material, percentage of distribution pipe system composed of that material, and the average age of that material in years. And again, salmon is conditionally required. Next slide. All right, moving on. So C1 is dead end flushing program. If unknown, please enter 0 and explain why in the comment box. So in that first section, if you don't know, just put 0 and make sure you write a comment, because again, yellow is mandatory. Number of blow-offs, number flushed, and frequency of flushing. C2 moving down is all flushing operations. got units of measure for total volume reported. It's going to be mandatory, so make sure you pick your units and then go ahead and write the total volume in units of measure selected, including all types of flushing and not just dead end flushing. And then last, D here, we have valve exercise program. And again, same thing. If unknown, please enter 0 and explain why in the comments, as the total number is yellow and that is mandatory. All right, next slide. All right, so moving on is the storage tank reservoir inspection and cleaning program. If you do have, check this box if your public water system has any storage tanks or reservoirs. This is going to be another list, an upload section here. So if you have many storage tanks and completing the table below will take too long, you can click here to use a template and upload. That is a hyperlink right above the table. So if you click that, next slide, you can upload bulk data. So we call it bulk data upload. And Wendy again covered this in section 11 when she was talking about how to add an operator to the table or uploading files to tables and how to edit that. So when you click that, you're going to have a Excel file that's going to open all your current data. And just to reiterate what she was mentioning earlier, make sure that the titles, the column names are all the same and they're correct, because it won't upload correctly if it is not. But if you download the current data, it'll put those headers correctly. But if you don't, here is the format here in the storage tank list. Tank field name, format, tank name, text, capacity. When you go A through I here, those are going to be the column names, and make sure those are included on your table in order for it to get uploaded correctly. Next slide. All right, that's going to be it for me. Jason.
All right, so good morning, everybody. I'm Jason Spots, and I'll be doing section 16, emergency preparedness and response. A lot of these that we're going to be going through are still related to Senate Bill 552, which was passed in 2021. So we'll walk in through those. But with regard to Senate Bill 552, it requires small water suppliers serving 15 to 2,999 service connections. And non-transient non-community water systems. So go ahead. And these are going to be applicable for questions A3 through A6 and then C2. Right, next. All right, so for the first part, there's 3 of this. There's A, B, and C. So for the first part, again, SB 552. We had some questions that we removed, but you're going to see the numbers are going to remain the same, so they haven't been changed. But when we get through these, talking about things during power outages and backup electrical power supply setup, and you just make sure your system can maintain continuous operation such that it meets current water quality requirements and is sufficient to meet average daily demand. Things to consider for most of these here are, can you maintain 20 PSI, or can the system maintain 20 PSI? Is there a backup generator? When it comes to the backup generator, is it something that automatically starts, or is it something that you're going to have to go start up? If you don't have one, when can you get one by? You may be able to maintain pressure, but are you going to be able to secure a generator in time to keep that pressure above 20 PSI? If not, how long will it take to do that repressurization? And then one of the other ones that comes up, especially during fires, are generator fuel supplies and just people having access. So things to consider when you're thinking about the timing and response to that. Next slide. All right, last questions in part A here. These again for our SB 552. What I wanted to add are the dates down below that these are expected to be complete, or the deadlines for these to be completed. So you can see those there for A4, 5, and 6. And then again, it's with regard to resiliency. So this one, the first one, A4, having a backup source of water supply. It can be an intertie, but we want to make sure that considering it's a source that's able to maintain continuous operations and then meet current water quality requirements and is sufficient to meet the daily demand. And then the other two, monitoring for water loss due to leakages and having the source treatment and distribution system capacity to meet fire flow requirements. For A5, there's another part in that I believe we unintentionally left out. It actually is also wants to make sure that there's a meter installed at each service connection, and then also monitoring for water loss due to leakages. For A6, if you don't know what fire flow requirements may be for your area, it's best to check with your local ordinances, municipal or county, and see if they have anything there. If not, you can look at AWWA's publication. I think it's M41, and it talks about the distribution and fire flow requirements there. That may be helpful for you to look at as well, just another possibility. But first, you definitely want to check with any city or county ordinances that you may have. And in the absence of those, check with AWWA. Next slide. All right, so for all the questions related to having funding available, we want to just make sure that people are considering, all the different sources that are out there. I think most people are looking at just cash on hand, or that's the one thing they consider, or any sort of budgeted funds. But there are also access to state and federal grants and loans, and then of course there are any other financing mechanisms that may be in progress. So next slide. This is second part, B, for emergency response plans. All systems should be completing this section. But I did want to point out, just as a reminder, because US EPA put it out recently, I think this week actually, it was that they're starting their next cycle, next 5-year cycle for community water systems serving more than 3,300 people to be validating that they have emergency response plans. And so the deadlines for those are down below, but I think we need to be looking out for those, and just when you're looking at those dates and seeing if they're coming up to be due, check these deadlines on when they're due to EPA and a validation of that. And then the last one there on B3 is just wanting to see the last time somebody has exercised in some form or fashion their water quality emergency notification plan. And then if it hasn't been exercised in the last year, we just ask that it be left. Next slide. And then the last one here, this is also from SB 552. It went into having an active membership in a mutual aid organization for small water suppliers and non-transient community water systems that are schools. That went into effect on January 1st, 2023. And by and large, we also want to be able to make sure that we can connect people that are in similar or in the same network. So this is required for everybody, but we do ask just so we can, during emergencies, see who we can help out, and that means is next slide. I'll turn it over to Ava. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Ava Scally. I'm an environmental scientist with the Conservation and Climate team. I'm covering for the normal person who does this, Dr. Mario Brodero. We'll be back at work next week, so if there are any questions I can't answer, I will hold them for her. Next slide. Good news is that we shortened the conservation section this year. There's 2 sections instead of 3. We cut out the shortage and drought reporting that is still covered in some form through the Safer Clearinghouse submissions. So we're cutting down redundancy. And this information, and next slide, is helpful for informing our water use objective exploration tool that is very instrumental into implementing the conservation as a California way of life regulation that is ongoing this year. The budget and financial info is also very helpful for informing our affordability studies that we will continue after the regulation. Next slide. All right, I will now pass it on to Chris.
All right. Thank you, Ava. I'm Chris Hyun, Rhymes with Fun. I'm the climate lead at the State Water Board, and we have a climate team at the State Water Board, which includes Ava, Charlotte Ely, and Director James Nachbauer. And we work on realizing the State Water Board climate resolution, following up on the commitment in the Racial Equity Resolution and Action Plan. And we also work with the Governor's Office and other state agencies on climate strategies. So I'm going to talk about today on section 18 on climate. So next slide, please. So first of all, this section is not shown for non-community systems. So if you are a community water system, then this is for you. So what's in climate section 18? So this section has not changed very much since it started in 2018. There are two subsections. Subsection A is focused on climate threats, and subsection B is focused on climate adaptation measures. So you can find instructions in the help tips. We want to make sure you are aware of the Department of Water Resources Urban Water Management Plan Guidebook. It includes a climate change appendix I with a climate change vulnerability screening form at the end of that appendix. So both are helpful guides as you fill out climate section 18. You'll find the links in the help tips. Next slide, please. So why this section? What are the purposes and uses of climate section 18? First, it fulfills various state water board commitments. As stated in our climate resolution, a climate vulnerability assessment should be in the eAR. Also, we should develop a publicly accessible reporting system for the climate vulnerability assessment results. We have been working on updating our publicly accessible reporting system to include climate section 18 results since 2018. Drafts by the Office of Information Management and Analysis, or OIMA, are shown on the right of the slide. And we hope to make this new dashboard available hopefully this year. Also, in our Racial Equity Resolution and Action Plan, the State Board has committed to assess disproportionate climate impacts, prioritizing, among other things, drinking water, making recommendations to address those disproportionate climate impacts, and the climate section 18 data would be part of this assessment. Thank you very much, and I will hand it off to the next person. Wendy.
Yep, that is me. So I'm back, and I'm just gonna finish out the presentation and the eAR sections of the finalization and submission section. So when you click on this section, you may see errors on the top of the page before you're able to do anything. Those errors do need to be fixed and rectified. And I'll tell you which sections to go to and what the problem question is. If you seem to be having difficulties getting that error to go away, feel free to reach out to our customer service and we can help you. We may need to forward you on to a regulator to assist you because they are the ones who actually review these eARs and are our technical leads on what to put in those fields. Once you have all your errors taken care of and it's blank up top, you would go ahead and enter the amount of time taken in hours. If it only took you 30 minutes, put 0.5 in the first box, the yellow box there, and then it is required that you check that box before you submit. Do note that the report submitted by is going to be blank. That is pre-filled, so and cannot be changed. So it will automatically pre-fill your contact information. If you need further instructions or want to get better detailed information about submission, how the post-submission process goes and instructions, our user guidance document that is on our website is page 11 through 15, finalize and submission process. But I'm going to go through in this presentation too. So here's an example of an email for a submitted eAR that you will receive once you hit the submit button. If you are curious about the status of your report, like, is it in progress? Is it submitted? Completed, if you see completed, it means that your eAR has been reviewed by a regulator and has been deemed accepted or approved. But you would click the My eAR reports on your portal page, and you'll see the status here where the red arrow is pointing. This in progress just means that the reporter is currently in process of filling out the eAR. Here's an example of an eAR that has been approved. And then every once in a while, when a reviewer, meaning your regulator, is reviewing the eAR, sees something that needs revision, they will put a note in that revision field of what they need you to go back and look at and possibly update. And you'll get an email describing what needs to be done. In addition, you can go to your, when you get that email, you'll need to go to your portal, and on the bottom row here, it says you have, it would have a number, say 1 eAR report needing revision. You would click on that number 1. It would pop up the screen on the right, and you would go, if you want to view your eAR, you would click view. If you want to see the details again of what you need to fix, you would click on that detail, and it will show you right here in that first line under the first red arrow what the response text there, what is missing or what needs to be updated. You can, from this page, you can go back and view your eAR. Say you want to go to section 2, you would click the view button. So once your edits and changes are completed, you must resubmit through that finalize section. Make sure the button is selected, the checkbox. Each submission date will be recorded and displayed in your details view. And then the eAR, the report submitted by fields, are only stored during the first eAR submission. So if somebody else did the revision, it won't store that person's information. One other feature that a water system may want to do is a print to PDF. So to print to PDF, you would go to, again, your My eAR reports, and you would click on the details hyperlink on the right, and it will open up your details page again, and you would select the print to PDF, and it will open up a PDF summary of your report, and you can print that out or save it for future use. If you have any questions, we keep telling everyone, just reach out to us. We're pretty good about responding to you all within the day. Every once in a while, our responses do get pushed out 2 to 3 days, depending on the complexity of your question. But we look forward to hearing from you if you have questions or even feedback. We've got some good feedback, and the feedback, if it's feedback on like enhancements or fixes for next year, we definitely log those and consider them for next year. Okay, so let's go on to our questions and comments. I'm going to go ahead and open up the comments, the questions here, and try to answer these questions. Okay, first question. And if anybody has questions or would like to raise their hand, please feel free to do so. We have a small water system or small well water treatment system. We 181 population. We adopted the RTCR back in 2021, July. Do we also need to submit a BSSP form? If so, who do we submit it to? Question 9A.1 in the eAR. Depending on the age of your BSSP, and I am unaware of how often the BSSPs have to be updated, but if you feel you need to update your BSSP or it has changed from your last one, your distribution system has changed or it's not reflective of it anymore, you would need to submit that updated BSSP to your district office or LPA. They are the ones that will need to review and approve it. I hope that answered your question. Is there a place to indicate NA if our water system does not have a treatment system? So it will put in your system that information from section, oh gosh. Jonathan, help me out what section the treatment system is again.
I'm not quite sure. Let me
Okay,
get that real
I
quick.
guess I can go back here. So 13, no. I went too far.
Maybe it's 14.
14, okay. Yeah, 14, section 14. This information is coming from SWRCB. So if you do not have treatment plants, it will say nothing reported. But if I believe there is an option, if you do add a treatment plant or it's not listing, you can add it there. Sorry, I lost my spot here. The next question, oh, there it is, section 14. If an agency purchases treated water, then would this section be completed by a purchasing agency, or would info need to be obtained from source provider? You know, I am unaware of how to answer that question. So questions that we are unable to answer, we're going to put a Q&A. We're actually going to put a Q&A in the in post on our website to answer questions that are asked in this webinar. So this one will be posted along with our recording, and you can refer back to it. I hope that answers helps you out, Jim. Section 12, would any listed improvements lead to violation for lacking a permit amendment? I can't answer that question. That's up to your regulator, but I believe the regulator will, if they see something that they're unaware of and it needs to have an amended permit, they would contact the water system and talk to you all about what needs to be done to amend your permit. But I cannot answer the question whether a violation would lead from that. Regarding, this one's for you, Jason, regarding backup generator, do all systems need to have a backup generator?
As far as the requirement goes, that's a good question. They need to have some system in place to have a source of backup. So that they actually have to have one, it would benefit them to have one. But if they have a way to, like through mutual aid, to acquire one in a timely fashion, I think it's risky to do that, but they have to have some way to be able to provide it.
Okay. Hold on 1 second, typing. Okay. Okay, section 10. We have several backflow assemblies that were not tested for several years because water supply was shut off. Water is turned off for inactive buildings, or empty buildings in landscaping that have not been irrigated for years or have been converted to gravel. Can they be reported as inactive devices? If so, how do we report inactive assemblies? I believe I thought there was a question. Yeah, right there, number of inactive backflow prevention assemblies in 2023. There is a question and you just answer how many inactive assemblies are there. And yes, any inactive assemblies would be answered right there. Hope that answers your question, Noreen. How do we submit all documents required, including emergency response plans? Okay, I'm going to show emergency response plans. If you have an emergency response plan already submitted from previous years and you want to upload one onto the portal, you would need to contact us or your regulator to have us remove the old one and upload a new one. We can't, I believe the PW or the reporter can't just override it. But I could be wrong, but let me shoot, there we go. Just give you a quick demo. But if you want to upload a document, where's my eAR? Of course, it's taken me taken a minute to log in. So under document upload, you have when you click on the document upload feature here on the block of 3 options, you can, your emergency notification plan can.
Wendy, are
Oh,
you?
I'm not sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, apologies. Hold on, let me go back. Yeah, I forgot I was sharing the reporter training screen.
Okay, we can see it
Okay,
now.
yeah. So when you're in your portal menu, you would click the document upload and you scroll down a little, you'll see all the documents that you could upload. I'm not connected to a water system, so I can't see what you all would see right off the bat. But if you, like I said, if you have not uploaded an ENP, you'll be able to upload a document. I don't think a user is able to override that previous one upload. So if you cannot, you simply reach out to us or reach out to your regulator to remove the previous document so you can upload a new one. As far as the other items, there, CCRs, same, you can upload, it will say the year and you can upload the document for the year in the certificate. So that's how you do the document uploads. Let me go back to share my screen. Oh, I'm just actually sharing my screen now. Cool. And then okay. Okay, next, oopsies. Sorry, guys. I'll just go to the end for. Sorry, having technical difficulties here. So, Alan, I hope that answered your question about documents. Oh, and everybody, if you would like to view these recordings and this recording and previous recordings, they're posted on our eAR website under eAR technical assistance resources. And we will be posting this one within the day or two. And Gabby, can you share the link of our website?
Yes,
Please.
we'll do. And then
Okay.
we have 2 attendees that have their hands raised as well.
Okay, let me try to get through these questions. For EMPs, are we required to get the document approved by DDW first and then upload it, or we just talk to the DDW engineer to upload the eAR after review and approval? With the EMPs, I would work with your district office. I don't know if they need to be actually approved, but they need to review them and make sure they know where to find them. So Melissa, work with your DDW engineer. Can you PDF print the entire eAR or only the summary? We have actually the entire eAR as a template, but if you want to print the eAR with what the water system reported, the data they reported, the PDF print slides that I presented to you and how to do that, that's how you do what the water system reported. But the whole template of the eAR is on our website, and it's under login, the first tab, login information. I need to stop my video. My internet's causing issues. Next question. Why does the eAR give the option to pre-fill on each section? However, it does not pre-fill anything. Lisa, the pre-fill is only for those items that are pre-filled that have the coding to pre-fill from our database of record or the previous eAR. So I think there's a reset button at the bottom or a pre-fill, and it's not all questions pre-fill. So I hope that answers your question. And if it's not working, like if there's a field that should be pre-filled, then reach out to us because we would need to look into it, make sure it's not a bug. Regarding backup generators, unless the code has changed, isn't there an affordability element involved? Jason?
That one, you got me on that one. I don't know. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. There's a second part to the assemblies. Do we subtract inactive devices from the total number of assemblies in the system? Ooh, that's a good one. Let me follow up in the Q&A, and if you can refer to it after this webinar, we'll post it. Section 10, We have just changed our cross-connection management system, and a lot of data was lost in transition, so the numbers may not be accurate. Will this be a violation? Not that I'm aware of. You can reach out to your regulator to double check. That answers for Janet. For emergency response plans, do we need to upload our plan? The EPA does not even want uploaded plans for security reasons. So should these plans be made available to the public and subject to increased risk of vulnerability of water systems? Jason, do you want to answer that one?
No, I believe all you have to do is just validate that you did the plan. As far as making them publicly available, it's not something I would recommend, but I'm not aware of any law that states that you have to. But if you guys are subject to Public Records Act requests or whatnot, then you'll want to review that with your attorney and figure out what you need to do there.
And this question is kind of on the same page. Well, it's about the difference between an emergency notification plan. Person's asking, could you confirm that an emergency notification plan required of all water systems is not the same as an emergency response plan that is required for systems?
Yeah, those are two separate things. So the response plan is more along the lines of your response to earthquake or fire, flood, whatever the case is. Emergency notification plan is typically referred to as a water quality emergency notification plan. So it's your plan to notify the public if you have tier 1, 2, 3, whatever, health and safety code 64463, you would look in there and those methods that you would use to notify the public. So yeah, they are separate.
And another question, where is that DAC tab to submit an application to reduce permit fee? The DAC application is located in 2 spots, and I can show you real quick. Share screen. So you can upload your application. Where did it go? Oh, there it is right here. If you have the application saved on your desktop, the best way to get to it is, and I'm just going to use somebody's eAR. So apologies if I'm using your system. And it's going to take a minute. And you can see my screen, right, Gabby?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to use this first system. So when if you are a state system, LPA systems are not eligible for this. These are only state regulated systems. Oops. You sorry. This one should be there. Sorry, I'm still trying to.
Should be section 1B.
Yeah. Oh, this non-transit, non-community, that's why. And it's only for community water systems. So let's try to find a community here. Here we go. So you'll see here, depending on the size of your system, the DAC application form is in the language of that section. And when you click on it, you fill it out, save it, and then you can upload it. It will have a choose file feature and you can upload the file. And then once it's uploaded, it should be visible in here. Again, if you have any issues, there's an email address and Gabby can help you because she's the queen of DACs. So I hope that helped in regards to DAC. Okay. Share my screen. Um, I'm just reading through these messages here. Confirming that for section 16B3 asks about the last time an EMP was exercised. Wanted to confirm it's not referring to the ERP. Jason.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Confirming that for section 16 question B3 asks about the last time an ENP, an emergency notification plan, was exercised. Wanted to confirm that's not referring to an emergency response plan.
Correct, yeah, ENP is separate from the ER.
Okay. It is my understanding that the new eAR does not have the water use table and that we input the data into a completely different database. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. That section will list where you go and you need a new account if you don't have one already. It's called the Safer Clearinghouse, and we actually have a webinar on that section and have demos on that section. So I would refer back to our webinars. I believe it was 2 webinars ago, right, Gabby?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the
So,
second.
and those are located on our website. Is there a way to view data that is automatically uploaded to the eAR from the new clearinghouse site? We have one person doing the eAR and a different person doing the clearinghouse. View data that is automatically uploaded to the eAR. Janet, if you can raise your hand and I'm just not clear on your question. Sorry, I'm scrolling up trying to get to the hands. Janet, can you clarify your question?
On the eAR, I noticed that some of the information doesn't show like last year's or has anything for me to fill in because it's filled in on the clearinghouse, and this has to do with like production numbers and different things like that. That's reported on the clearinghouse, but I can't see what it looks like to verify that yes, that's good. Not good.
So you would have to get an account on the clearinghouse to view the clearinghouse data if you need to see that information.
Okay, so we can't see it from the eAR website?
So you can, if you want, you're talking about past, right? Past eAR information?
I'm talking current eAR information for 2023.
Okay. Anything that was listed in that section that was moved to the clearinghouse is all visible. It's all a part of the clearinghouse site now.
Okay, but not part of the EAR. We can't.
No,
Okay.
there's nothing in that section anymore. We removed it completely.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yeah, so when we're verifying the EAR, we're not responsible for what was entered into the clearinghouse, correct?
No. You all mean the water system is responsible for what's in the clearinghouse.
The individual person.
Yeah, or whoever is associated with it.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Okay, so Alan, I think your answer is my system is a non-community, non-transient, and that was in regards, I believe, with the DAC question. So that would not be applicable. You would not be able to fill out an application for your system, and it would not be even shown for section 1 because it would be filtered out. Yeah, okay. I just saw the second answer. Okay. Going on to the attendees that are raising their hand. Lisa Johnson, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, hi. My question is regard to the backup generators. I believe it was Alan that was talking about the backup generators, and it made it sound like all public water systems are required to have one. And if this is the case, what government code section cites this requirement?
Jason?
Yeah, I'm not saying, I don't think I'm saying that all of them are required to have one. As the way, let's see here, the code is, pull up to it. Let's see here. I see that what I'm reading is water code section 10. Well, it starts, let me just say it starts with section 10609.5, and then it kind of moves down through there. So it would start up there, because you'll go through the different definitions and whatnot. And then going on further down, so I'm trying to read it here. So in 10609.62, small water suppliers and non-transient, non-community water systems that are schools shall implement subject to funding availability. So I guess that's the one that somebody's asking earlier. It is subject to funding availability. All the following drought resiliency measures. And then A is no later than January 1st, 2023, implement, there's the monitoring, how warm. And then no later than January 1st, 2024, to ensure continuous operations during power failures, provide adequate backup electrical supply. So it would be 1060962C.
Does that help you, Lisa and Ellen, and anyone else having questions about the backup generators?
That helped. Thank you. I just have one more thing about that pre-fill section. I'd asked a question.
Yeah.
And it does not work.
Okay.
It doesn't pre-fill anything, not for my reports.
Okay. If you can send a quick email, just saying, can you follow up with me on the pre-fill, and maybe we can get on the phone and look at your screen.
Great.
See what's
Sounds
going
good.
on. Awesome.
Thank you.
We have next Young Paik. Young, we unmuted your ability to unmute you. You'd have to unmute your microphone if you want to ask a question, or lower your hand if you don't have a question.
Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks.
Oh yeah, that is what is deadline is March 1st.
Can
That
you
is a
repeat your
form.
question?
Yeah, it is a form. Is what kind of form?
Which form are you talking about?
Yeah.
What's the name of what form are you referring to?
Oh, that is what is that deadline is March 1st is
Okay. Yes, that form is for technical assistance, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. That form is on our website. We also sent an email yesterday to all public water systems with the link of the form, but you can get a link to the form on our website under technical resources, and it has a little more detailed information on our website about qualification. But if you don't know if you qualify or just need to see if you can get assistance, our suggestion is to go ahead and fill out the form, and our Division of Financial Assistance will review it and see whether you qualify or not, and like what you're looking for assistance, whether it can be done with your help of your regulators and us, our eAR customer service team, or if they can assign you a technical assistance contractor to you.
Okay, I that is submit last year, and then it's the same website that is I got the fill out the form.
Yeah, the portal website's the same, and Gabby can put that into the Q&A. Gabby, can you
Do you want me to send it directly to him?
Yeah, we'll send the portal
form?
website directly to you, and then we'll also include the eAR website where you can find the technical assistance form if you so wish to apply for.
Oh yes, can you showing that is 23 that is fill out that form? That is 1 month ago is I cannot open that one.
You are unable to open the Microsoft form?
Yeah.
Okay, you may also, there's instructions how to open a PDF on our website and send it directly to our financial assistance people, the people that review it.
No, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Wendy, I can't send messages to people.
Okay. Here, let me show you. I'll demo it real quick here. So Young and everyone who are interested in filling out a form,
Okay.
an application for technical assistance, you go to our eAR website, which looks like this, and this is the address here. You go to technical assistance resources, scroll all the way to the bottom here, and it's right here. You can, if you can't open this form right here, you can open up a PDF version and email it to them. Okay.
Oh, right.
And then here is the qualification or criteria of water systems that are applicable to get technical assistance. And then what was the second part? Oh, I think we answered your question. Is there anything else, Young, that you need us to answer?
Okay. Can you that is you send to email that form?
If
Website that one.
if you put your email address in the Q&A section, we can email you the web links. Okay.
Okay. How can I email you? You got the email, my email.
We have it on the back end. It might be easier just to put your email in the Q&A.
Oh.
If you're okay with that. You can send it privately to the host.
Oh yes, yeah.
Do you see that?
Oh, all right, let me see.
Don't worry about it, Young. Our team will look in the back end of our attendees list and find your email and send you those two.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, don't see anybody's hand raised at the moment. So I'm going to go back to the questions. We have 2 more questions. Do you anticipate changes in the eAR reporting year every year? We usually do have changes in the eAR every year. It's inevitable. We have enhancements that we do. Major changes like section removal, like we did this year, those may be done next year. We are not too sure, but it's looking like most of our cleanup has been done this year. But there may be a question change here and there, and then but it looks like next year we're hopefully not going to be just huge changes, but we just don't know because some of the changes do come from management wanting to move things out like they did with moving the source and delivery to the clearinghouse. So but yeah, there's usually some changes in the eAR every year. When a report has been submitted but not yet approved, is it possible to change and remove information in the report such that the finalized section will show errors, but the report still is waiting for approval? That's a great question, PJ. I do not know. I've never played with that. I believe, I mean, that's a good experiment. Oh, that is in fact not a question. Oh, good to know. We'll look into that. Really look into that. Okay. Thank you for telling us. Is there any other questions? Looks like I don't see any other questions coming over. I'll give a couple more seconds to see if anybody has any last minute questions. Or if you have a last minute question and want to raise your hand, feel free to do so. Okay. So it looks like we don't have any other questions. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And we will be posting this webinar on our website within the next day or two. So, and along with the Q&A, we're going to try to post that up. It might take a little longer for the Q&A because we have to reach out to other staff to get those questions answered. But thank you all for joining, and I'm going to go forward and ending this meeting.